Welcome back to DFS Rebels for the first slate of Week 12 games. It is your boy Dante back at it again with my colleague, Mr. Rob, as we share favorite picks for the Thanksgiving games to help you make those difficult lineup decisions so you wind up filling up your pockets. So with that being said, it is time to join the rebellion.
That's right. That's right. Happy Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, happy holidays, whatever you want to celebrate. All I know is I'm celebrating Money Day. Dante, I can't predict things. I just make projections. I'm not going to predict that Cage is going to catch 3 touchdowns tomorrow or a Dak Prescott's going to throw for 600 yards. Can't do that. But what I can do is I can tell you the best way to build your lineups in GPPs that will get you different enough, that will get you into a better chance of coming into bigger money. Because if you're just going to double your money on GPPs, you might as well just play cash games, which is nothing wrong with. I play a ton of cash games. So do you. They're incredibly profitable. But if you're going to GPPs, these are the tricks that you're going to use to make sure you're different than anybody else. You want to do things like the double tight end stacks. You want to put a tight end in the flex because other people are going to put like a running back because there's so many different good running backs on this slate. If you don't want to do 2 tight ends, do 2 running backs on the same team, like Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris, Swift, Williams. Do things like that to get yourself different from the pack. Starting off, for me, the only quarterbacks I'm looking at tomorrow is Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones. That's it. That's where I'm planting my flag. Josh Allen, clearly the top quarterback on the slate. The Bills have a 32-point implied team total. Dak Prescott is, and by my projections, the best value quarterback. The New York Giants defense is arguably the worst shape. It's in worse shape than the Lions, in my personal opinion. With injuries and without their top two cover cornerbacks, Adoree Jackson and Fabian Moreau. I think they're both out tomorrow. You're a bigger Giants fan than me. I don't know if you know that. And if that's the case, if we really think the Cowboys are going to be in the lead the whole time, then you're going to really want to look at Daniel Jones. He has that rushing upside, and he's going to be throwing the ball like crazy. So I love those 3 quarterbacks tomorrow. Then I already mentioned running backs. Listen, I'm all over Ramondre Stevenson on DraftKings. Stevenson is my first click on any running back position in the majority of my lineups. The pass catching floor is second to none on this slate. He has all that upside, even with Damian Harris back. Damian Harris is a lot less owned. Damian Harris can get those sneaky touchdowns away from him, which is why I said a little while ago you might want to play both in the same lineup and go from there. Also, obviously looking at Saquon Barkley, hefty price, but the most talented running back on the slate. Looking at Tony Pollard, he's on fire and he's affordable. I'm 100% on him. I'm going to keep riding him. Ezekiel Elliott could get those goal line snaps. But again, Pollard and Zeke in the same lineup. Very solid choice. Love that. You want to look at Jamal Williams. He's been getting touchdown each and every single week. Swift is out snapping him, but he's just not getting all the fantasy points. But again, Williams and Swift, fantastic play using them together. Personally, I want to talk about defenses real quick. The only 2 defenses I am looking at tomorrow is the New England Patriots defense. I think that's my absolute top choice tomorrow. Who's that guy that's out tomorrow? Help me. Kristen Dawson is out. And
Yeah, that's right.
That's gonna be a problem because Matthew Jordan is gonna have a field day with him out. Patriots. So what I'm doing tomorrow is I'm completely fading that night game. Patriots Vikings. I'm completely off of. Except for some lineups where I'm using Stevenson and Harris in the same lineup. But for the most part, I'm completely off that game. I'm just gonna lock in the New England defense, and I'm gonna go heavy on the other 2 games. That's how I'm building. That's where I'm planting my flag. There's gonna be a few where I just have the running backs and the defense, and I'll go from there. Stephon Diggs is my clear-cut type receiver on this slate. No Jeff Okudah, which means he should lead a very active first half. CeeDee Lamb, excellent comeback spot for CeeDee Lamb at home against the Giants. Slot corner Holmes. I think that's an easy one for him. Gabe Davis, just like Diggs, both very high owned, but they're both in fantastic spots. He's way too cheap on DraftKings. and he has like the same sexy matchups Diggs has. According to my projections, he's one of the best uh, of value plays on the slate. Also, love who's that? Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen. He should be in a great spot, even though he's been kind of losing value since Hawkinson got there. But I think he's a great pivot off of Hawkinson, who's going to have a lot of value. But again, not really on that game. But I'm going to have just a few shares of Thielen if I'm doing the max entries. I absolutely love Richie James tomorrow. Probably the only punt play I can somewhat appreciate. The slot receiver in the Giants offense has excelled against cover one, cover two, and blitz heavy defenses, and that's what the Cowboys do. As long as he's healthy, he's one of my favorite GPP plays. Looking at tight ends, of course, I am looking at Dalton Schultz. He's a near lock button for me at that price on DraftKings. I look at Schultz as like a mid-tier wide receiver 2 on most slates. And in this 3-game slate, you do the math. He's just going to be another receiver in my stack. I know you told me Cage is the guy right now until Bellinger get back. I'm all over Cager. And that's pretty much how I'll be building my lineups is those 2 tight ends or 2 running back slates, completely leaving out the late game except for the defense. You talk to me. How are you building?
Now, so Rob, I know I should probably come with something completely new, completely different, but honestly, there's nothing I could say to disagree with you. You brought up a lot of great points. I will be building similar lineups. I really do like the idea of 2 running backs from the same team. I love the Swift Williams duo. I love the Zeke Pollard duo. The one duo I'm not so big on, not so keen on, is the Stevenson and Harris duo. And the reason why that is because I believe the Stevenson and Harris is the least 50-50 duo, because I think Stevenson sees majority of the snaps over there. Because I think Stevenson is just a better running back than Harris by a long shot. So I believe he'll be seeing at least a good 65-70% of the snaps. So I wouldn't think Harris will produce enough to really make it a good value play. So I do love the Zeke Pollard duo. I do love the Swift Williams duo. I think those are more 50-50, especially heading into tomorrow's games. Now, going for quarterbacks, for me, I have really just 2 names that I'm keeping an eye on tomorrow, and they're both in that first game. Obviously, Josh Allen, best quarterback on the slate. He is the most expensive. He's most high owned, but for good reason. He's got facing that historically bad Lions defense. The Lions have been playing defense just like you do in Rocket League this year, which is pretty bad. So I do like Allen a lot. Even on the other side of the ball, I do like Jared Goff a lot. That Lions offense has been really good. I give him a lot of credit where credit's due. I think it's going to be a high, fast-paced game. There'll be a lot of points going both ways. The Bills will probably come out on top just because they're the better team, but I would not be surprised to see the Lions make it a game, especially throughout the first half. So I like both of those quarterbacks. As for one other quarterback I might also like too is Dak Prescott. You convinced me on him, especially with the top guys in the Giants secondary being out. Adoree Jackson, Fabian Moreau, even Xavier McKinney. He's out tomorrow as well. He's out for the remainder of the season, I believe, which is unfortunate. So therefore, the Giants secondary completely beat up tomorrow. Dak Prescott should eat right through him tomorrow, and yeah, I really like just about anybody in the Cowboys offense. Actually, I it really does hurt for me to say that as a Giants fan and as a Cowboys hater, pretty much. But I do like Dak. I do like CeeDee Lamb at the wide receiver spot. I've already talked about Zeke and Tony Pollard, briefly. Um, so I will be having them in most of my lineups for tomorrow. CeeDee Lamb, obviously, with just the target share he sees, it's too hard to pass up on. He's having the most expensive receiver on the slate. Now, as going back to the Bills Lions game, I do like both Diggs and Gabe Davis, especially since Jeff Okudah is out. However, I do kind of like Davis better, only because he's a lot cheaper. And the Lions do run a lot of man coverage, which Josh Allen has destroyed a lot this season, with Gabe Davis being his number one guy. I believe I believe the offensive production we'll see out of the Bills tomorrow will be similar to what we saw against the Steelers. I believe it'll be mostly Allen and Gabe Davis shredding the Lions defense. Obviously, Diggs will have his share too. And I also do like Dawson Knox as well. So those are my top guys. And another sneaky play I think that not a lot of people are talking about is Singletary, just because of recent trends. He's been seeing the ball more, especially in the red zone. So he might even run for a touchdown or two tomorrow. So there's a whole bunch of guys like in that Bills offense as well. Now, going back to wide receivers, like I said, the only receivers I'm really trusting for tomorrow are CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, and Gabe Davis. If you want to throw another dark horse in there, like you said, Richie James is not a bad play, except he hasn't done a lot recently that I really like. Now, maybe tomorrow is his day to step up with now even Wan'Dale Robinson being out. Obviously, already know Shepard's out. Galladay just hasn't been there all season. So I do like Richie James like the number two slot. But the only pass catcher I really trust in the Giants tomorrow is Darius Slayton. And that's because he's really been the only guy stepping up for that Giants passing game week after week with all these injuries. So I know he might see the Trayvon Diggs matchup tomorrow, but if you do really want to start somebody in the Giants pass catching department, I do like Darius Slayton. He's only $5,000 drafting salary. He's cheap. He's not going to have to do a whole lot to hit his value. And I believe there's a good chance he hit his value because that's another game that I'm projected to go high scoring both ways. Hopefully, my Giants make it a game late in the second half, but I believe they'll definitely be both off to fast starts. Continuing with that game, Saquon Barkley, great, great pick. Most talented running back on the slate, as you said. Most expensive running back on the slate, but for good reason. The one thing the Cowboys defense has really struggled with in past weeks is stopping the run. So I think Saquon is going to have a great day tomorrow. Now I know I said this last week against the Lions, but that was just a whole mess up with the Giants' offensive game plan. Expect that to change tomorrow. Expect Saquon to bounce back. So I'm expecting a huge out of Saquon tomorrow as well, especially if that Giants offense is able to keep pace with the Cowboys offense. And just to go strictly with tight ends, the only tight end I really do like on the slate is actually Dawson Knox. TJ Hawkinson, I am fading. He's too expensive. The matchup is not there. I'm fading TJ Hawkinson. Actually, let me take that back. I do like Schultz as well, like you mentioned. Schultz should be a great play as well. There's really no tight end on the Lions ever since they traded Hawkinson I particularly like, because there's really nobody that's really consistently emerged as a number one tight end role. And also got to remember that DJ Chark will be back tomorrow too, so they might even see less targets for any of the two Lions tight ends that have been slowly seeing this target increase. And as for the Giants, there really isn't anybody that I particularly like too much either. I know Jones does target his tight ends a lot, but that hasn't been the case as much as of late with Bellinger being out. So, like I said, really the only two tight ends I like tomorrow are Dawson Knox and Gerald Everett, or not Gerald Everett, excuse me, Dalton Schultz. And now, as for defenses, now if you want to take a risk, I know you've told me this before. The Lions defense, risky play, very cheap. Now, if they are able to force a turnover, maybe intercept Allen, force a fumble or something, that right there should make them hit value. It's very cheap, especially if you're trying to, save money in defense to build your lineup elsewhere. However, the clear-cut favorite defense in this slate tomorrow is not the high-owned Cowboys defense. It will be the Patriots defense. Why? Because they're facing against a Vikings team that just finished getting manhandled by the Cowboys. This game is on Thursday night. It's on prime time. They usually then I know they've been calling Kirk Thuggins this year, but it's only when he plays on the Sunday slate at 1 o'clock exactly. Anything later in the night, he's back to being normal to your average Kirk Cousins. And I think he'll kind of look like that tomorrow on prime time on Thursday night. So I am all over that Patriots defense. And just like you, I really that's Patriots defense really the only play I like from that late game tomorrow. Stevenson will probably be a good option. And if you do, I guess have the salary. If you really want to take the gamble on Jefferson, I guess you can just because he's just Jefferson. But there's definitely better options elsewhere, better options cheap, you know, better, cheaper option, excuse me. So, like I said, Patriots defense, only defense I really like in tomorrow's slate, only play I really like in that late game tomorrow. So, yeah, that's about all I have. Those are my
Hey,
plays. A
no,
lot
that's
similar to
perfect.
you.
That's perfect, Dante. I did forget this. You did bring it up for me, and I just want to throw it out there. Yes, I am 100% using the Detroit defense. That if they just happen to just get enough sacks, just enough sacks to get you just enough fantasy points, and since you're paying down for them, you can get anybody else you want. So as long as they all do what they're supposed to do, and that Lions defense gets you just enough fantasy points, that is enough for a takedown. I've seen it happen with defenses scoring one fantasy point. That's all you need. That's absolutely all you need. That will be in about 10% of my lineups, the Lions defense. But hey, I hope everyone has a fantastic Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, whatever you celebrate. We're going to be back Saturday night to talk about the Sunday slates. So everyone, please give us a follow on Twitter, Facebook, DFS Rebels. If you don't mind, go ahead, buy the Patreon. We have so many cool things on there, and you get to join our Discord as well. Anyway, all of you have a fantastic weekend, fantastic holiday, and join the rebellion.